Did the War Raiders just relinquish the NXT Tag Team Championships? Or are we set to see a fatal four-way at Takeover on June 1st? We'll talk about it right here for NXT on Off the Script.
Delete! This is mine.
People still What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining me here tonight for NXT. It is Wednesday, May 15th, 2019, and I don't know what we seen at the end of tonight's show. Did the War Raiders relinquish the NXT Tag Team Championships, or are they going to be a part of a fatal four-way at TakeOver on June 1st? It certainly looked like to me that they walked away from the NXT Tag Team titles, which I hope is not the case. We'll talk about it tonight on the podcast. Plus, I got news on Dominic Dodge Kovac. He is out with injury. He undergoes surgery, so his hopes of becoming the North American champion have to wait just a little bit longer. Backstage concern, and I feel this week is going to be a week in which we blast Vince McMahon more than any other week with the shit that I'm hearing and reading after Monday Night Raw. Backstage concern that Vince McMahon will continue to wreck NXT storylines with desperation call-ups as we move forward towards October and SmackDown Live on Fox Sports. Also, injury updates from Chelsea Greene. I got news on her as well. And Tegan Nox, who I can't wait for her to come back and get back into the swing of things. And also, if you guys were watching the show tonight, Percy Watson was not there. We finally got Beth Phoenix in the commentary role. Morrow actually confirmed, not on tonight's show, but during the week, that Percy Watson has departed WWE. We'll go over that tonight as well on the podcast. Make sure you guys follow me on social media, man. At JD from NY206 on both Twitter and Instagram. Please make sure you guys follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to get my Instagram up to 10,000 followers before we hit the summer, man. So thank you guys so much for continuing in that effort. And I'll be in Vegas next weekend for Double or Nothing. If you guys want an inside glimpse as to what I'm doing in Vegas, where I'm going to be, maybe an interview here and there at StarCast, live videos and IG stories from StarCast, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram. Twitter, you guys know the deal. I'm on Twitter all day long, every single day as far as wrestling content goes. And it's a great way to be up to date with what I do here on the channel. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications. And if you guys want to support the podcast on Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206, completely optional. It's the only way to get exclusive content not available on YouTube, man. Thank you guys so very much for all that. If you missed anything this week, going back to Off the Script this past weekend, Fox and NBC Universal want to end the brand split. We talk about that. Becky Lynch and the momentum that is declining in her run as dual champion. AEW, who made the news this afternoon, or this morning rather. TV deal is announced. TV deal is announced, man. So what is your excuse going to be? Yes, what is your excuse going to be now for the t-shirt company that hasn't put on a single show yet? Somebody in Turner, somebody over there at TNT must believe in what's going on. Maybe it's the maybe it's the fabric. It's got to be the fabric, bro. I am convinced the fabric that they're using was blessed by Harry fucking Potter, man. It's magic. I don't know what's going on, but I await your excuses as to what's going on with AEW and why they will fail or why you want them to fail. So make sure you guys go and check that out on Off the Script, man. We talked about that and why it's important that they got a TV deal. Like I said, Becky Lynch, Monday Night Raw, Bray Wyatt's secret finally revealed, menacing, and it's working. Apparently there was a report that it's scaring children. Good. I don't know who's being, frightened by Mr. Bray Wyatt, but that's exactly the reaction that I want from Bray Wyatt. And SmackDown Live was fucking awful. The lowest ratings since 2006 happened last night. Utterly boring show for SmackDown Live, so make sure you guys go and check out everything if you might have missed any of the content. Link will be in the annotation that you see in the top right corner. Drop it down, and everything you need will be right there. Podcast tonight is sponsored by Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. 30 days free of their service and one free audiobook of your choice. It is very simple. Use our unique link. Go through the sign-up process. Download the app on your iPhone or Android devices. Choose your audiobook, and you're good to go for the next 30 days. Best thing is, if you guys feel like Audible's not for you, you can cancel at any time in the 30 days and keep your audiobook for free no matter what. So you're basically getting something for free just for listening to the podcast tonight. Once again, that's audibletrial.com/offthescript. Moving on, man. We'll talk about some of the stories here that I got concerning NXT like we usually do every single week right here on Off the Script. Wednesdays for NXT, we cover NXT news. And Vince McMahon is in the news for all the wrong reasons this week, which is very laughable. I take great pleasure in letting you know how much of an asshole Vince McMahon really is. Now, apparently he was interviewed by Vanity Magazine, if I'm not mistaken, and they did this whole piece on WWE about how big they are on Wall Street and how they are the number one game in town for pro wrestling and how it's all Vince McMahon's brainchild, whatever. Self-loathing, self-ego-driven garbage from Vince McMahon as always. But there is backstage concern everywhere in WWE, not just in NXT with what I'm about to read to you, but everywhere. Now, Vince McMahon, we all know, is a demented fucking fool. He's a racist. He's irrational. He's got such a damaging behavior towards everybody. He looks at all of his superstars, wrestlers, as nothing more than toys. He doesn't give a shit if they're broken down, beaten, and battered. He doesn't love... Vince McMahon does not love professional wrestling. This much is clear. But with the news coming out this week that Triple H is the most frustrated individual in all of WWE, it's hard not to sympathize with Triple H. And people that work for Triple H and NXT are actually concerned that Vince McMahon will wreck NXT storylines moving forward again. It's not the first time that he's wrecked NXT storylines because he called up Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, or at least tried to. Aleister Black and Ricochet were the only two that survived that call-up, which we all knew was a spur-of-the-moment decision. Reportedly, Triple H had no idea about those call-ups. But everybody is concerned that he will once again wreck future NXT storylines with desperation call-ups as we get on into the summer and fall with SmackDown Live moving to Fox Sports. What if the ratings don't go up? What is Vince McMahon going to do then? Is he going to call upon NXT and seek help in NXT? Something in which he does not watch? I don't know, but apparently Triple H's team is very concerned. Now, like I mentioned, Vince McMahon called up Tommaso Ciampa. By the way, before I continue, Tommaso Ciampa updated everybody on Twitter that part 2 of his little mini doc series is now available on WWE's YouTube channel via the PC YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go check that out, I have not watched it yet. I will watch it later tonight, and we will talk about it next week. But if you guys want to go watch that, it's on there right now. Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and the War Raiders. The War Raiders. Viking, I don't know who? The Viking Raiders. I don't know who they are. I don't know. I know a lot of things, but I know that they're not the Viking Raiders. When they were all champions, making it a trifecta of storyline changes in NXT. Now, Dave Meltzer noted that the SmackDown Live Tag Team titles being vacated, and not many, or not, well, they won when they were vacated. Now they're on Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. But there was not options in place at the time of this report that the titles were going to be heading to Bryan and Rowan. They were pretty much in limbo. So he said this: Shane is going to be all over SmackDown with this tag team thing. I don't even know what they're going to do or what they're going to announce, because SmackDown, they got two teams. Now, this was before, again, I have to cite, this was before Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan won the tag team titles. Heavy Machinery, he's going over the tag team situation on SmackDown Live. Heavy Machinery and Rusev and Nakamura are the only legit teams on SmackDown Live that have anything at all. Now, the other teams are the B Team and the Colognes. So unless they switch someone over from Monday Night Raw, I don't know what's going on, and people are afraid that Triple H's storylines are going to get messed up again because Vince McMahon is going to want to bring people up again. Who's to say Vince McMahon doesn't bring up a Street Profits? Who's to say Vince McMahon doesn't call up a Forgotten Sons, which would be death? Their name would have a literal meaning in NXT, or well, actually, they would have a literal meaning all over WWE. They would certainly be forgotten. Not just in NXT, but they would be lost forever on the main roster. Vince McMahon can do whatever he wants because in the end, he owns everything in WWE and people can move around as he sees fit. It obviously doesn't matter that NXT already has a tag team title match set for the NXT TakeOver show on June 1st, but we don't know what's going to happen with that, as Hansen and Rowe possibly relinquish the titles tonight, or they may be a part of that fatal four-way, which we'll talk about at the end when we get to that segment of the show. But the main thing is here, people are concerned that Vince McMahon is going to ruin NXT storylines, not just with Ivar and Erik or Hansen and Rowe, whatever the fuck you want to call them, but moving forward. Who's to say that Shayna Baszler beats Io Shirai and continues her reign of terror? What if Vince McMahon wants to call up Shayna Baszler and have her on SmackDown Live or Monday Night Raw to feud with a Becky Lynch or a Bayley? I don't know. He can do whatever he wants. He legitimately could do whatever he wants. What if the ratings are still slumping and the ratings are still declining? Is WWE going to call up an Undisputed Era? Is WWE going to call up a Velveteen Dream? What if the Velveteen Dream is still the North American champion? He doesn't give a shit, because in the anonymous phone call that was placed to Wade Keller's podcast, Vince McMahon doesn't watch NXT, and he watches a TakeOver sometimes. So how the fuck does he know who this talent is? Someone clearly has eyes for him. And what does that say about the fucking man who signs the paychecks, that he doesn't know who the prospects are down in NXT? How could you want somebody if you don't know who the fuck they are or what they're about? That's the most logical fucking thing you could say about that situation. How the fuck can you ask Triple H for somebody when you don't know anything about them? The company is in the shithole. Creatively. I don't give a fuck about the company financially. I don't. I never did. I don't give a fuck about how much money they're making or how much the stock is worth. I care about the fucking talent. How does Vince McMahon, how could he go about calling someone up and then use them on his show when he didn't know how they were previously used before Raw and SmackDown? This is why things get changed. Because if he's seen it firsthand, if he was there, physically feeling it and seeing it, he would not change it. All I know is with AEW, I don't give a fuck how many times they say, with AEW now on TNT, officially, things are about to get real. Because this company needs competition now more than ever. AEW is hitting the market and hitting the mainstream on cable television on a primetime spot with TNT, and they picked, I don't know if it's by fucking the hand of God, but right now, you looking at the landscape of pro wrestling right now with WWE, they picked the most perfect time to, I don't want to say combat WWE, but they picked the most perfect time to be where they are right now. Because they know, I don't think anybody knew WWE was going to be this bad at this point. But the fact that WWE is this bad, man, it is open season for people to open their eyes when AEW is on TNT and see a new alternate product that is going to wow people on a different scale and have a different feel, and things are going to be more exciting. Because if WWE continues the way they do with Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, I don't know how many of those people are going to be around to continue watching the ship sink. I don't know how many people want to see that. I feel depressed. I'm a depressed fucking soul when I watch these shows. So, it is what it is, man. Backstage concern, there's always going to be backstage concern because you never know what this guy is thinking. And I hope that he doesn't do it again. And I know Triple H right now is still hurting. I guarantee you if you were to ask Triple H about Ricochet and Aleister Black, he would have not moved them yet at all. Maybe Black. Black was on the verge of being called up. Ricochet, I don't think he would have moved Ricochet at all. Gargano and Ciampa, I don't think he would have moved them either. I don't think he would have moved anybody. But with everybody being called up, and the Ricochets and the Aleister Blacks and the War Raiders, I honestly think that Triple H right now is okay. And when something like this happens, usually he's in the mindset of taking about a 6-month break and reestablishing everything again and getting his feet and his plans grounded to continue to build. They go through these cold periods. I don't think he needs to go through a cold period. He's got enough talent there to really push the shows as he was doing. Because 2018 was the best year for NXT, period. I don't know if 2019 is going to be better with all the call-ups that happened, but he's in a good place now with the incoming talent that he's got at the PC. I don't think Triple H is going to have to take a couple of steps back here. He can continue going full steam ahead with everything he's been doing in NXT. You know, it's the same process, just different faces, and this is the best part of watching NXT. You get to see everybody that you've become familiar with in the independent scene. And now they're in NXT, and now they're at the feet of Triple H, and he's going to mold them into a superstar. And then eventually Vince McMahon's going to kill everything that Triple H has done because Vince McMahon cannot stand when anybody does something better than him. Guaranteed. So we'll see what happens. I hope that the wrecking of NXT storylines does not continue, or at least for now takes a very, very, very long extended break. Dominic Dodge Kovac, he's going to be on a very long extended break. He had a lot of promise when he signed with NXT. He was just now getting his TV time. And he was about to challenge the Velveteen Dream for the North American Championship. He came over from Ring of Honor, but right now he's experiencing a little bit of a setback. His first setback in NXT, a meniscus tear. He actually went under the knife last week, and he is very motivated for his in-ring return. He says this on social media, and I quote, "I know many of you, you consider this a burden and a setback, but not me. I consider this a gift. I'm happy that I had a tear in my meniscus because this represents sacrifice. This represents discipline. I had to rip away the weakness to rebuild it to be stronger than ever using my blood. When I was through, the only ones waiting for me were my family. They will drive me to return stronger than ever before and regain what is rightfully ours, the North American Championship." End quote. I guess if you want to put it that way, I guess he does make sense. It's a very, out there logic behind that, but to each his own. But you got to appreciate Dodge Kovac and what he feels about what he's doing in NXT. I'm very excited to see where he goes, and I hope that this is a speedy recovery. No time frame is given for his return, but I'm sure when he returns, he's not only going to have the Velveteen Dream to worry about, but a certain Keithley is going to be waiting for him as well, because it was announced that Keithley and Dodge Kovac and whatever they had going on right now is on the back burner, but I'm sure when Dodge Kovac comes back that Keithley will be waiting for him. Other injury updates here in NXT. Chelsea Greene, she broke her wrist during her first match at Full Sail, and that was during a dark match, which made me sad because Chelsea Greene is fucking great. I remember being at All In Chicago at the Sears Center, and Chelsea Greene was my MVP of the entire night. So when she got a tryout at the PC for WWE and NXT, I'm like, they gotta be absolutely out of their fucking minds if they don't take this woman and sign her to a contract right then and there. And they did. So I can't wait to see her on NXT, but it was a setback and just a shitty one at that, man. First time out there in an NXT ring and boom, you break your wrist. She had surgery in March and is recuperating since. Sean Ross Sapp was also talking about Chelsea Greene as well as Tegan Nox during Fightful Select's Q&A. These injuries are very different, so the recovery times won't be the same at all. He says this, and I quote, "I wouldn't expect Tegan Nox back anytime soon. Lots of damage there. Chelsea Greene is out of her cast, I believe," end quote. So this is good news for Chelsea Greene. Hopefully she gets back into the swing of things. I would love to see her in the women's division sooner rather than later. And Tegan Nox apparently still has recovering to do, a lot of recovering to do. I don't know if it's going to be before the Mae Young Classic. We'll see what happens, but I know that if Tegan Nox comes back and is ready to go before the Mae Young Classic, that she would be a absolute perfect winner for the Mae Young Classic. Story is there. Final of Tegan Nox and Rhea Ripley for the Mae Young Classic in 2019, but it doesn't look like that is in the cards as of right now. Mauro Ranallo confirms that Percy Watson has departed WWE. Reportedly, he wants to quit WWE. At this time, there's no official word on whether he has actually been granted his release. Now, I found this to be weird that Percy willingly wanted to be released from the WWE. I don't know what happened there. Nothing more was reported on. I know he was doing some main roster stuff with 205 Live. I don't know if he butted heads with somebody or something happened on the main roster that he didn't feel comfortable working with. But Mauro spent a lot of time with Percy Watson as the two called a ton of NXT action together. Percy was actually, someone that I heard for the first time, and I'm like, this guy's not going to work out. This guy is not going to work out. But, the more I heard him, and the more we went on with these shows and every takeover, he actually became pretty decent. And I didn't mind him being there. The announce team on NXT, easily the best announce team in all of WWE. He really didn't add much of anything to the announce team and the overall feel of what Nigel and Mauro were doing, but he also didn't look out of place at the same time, which I can appreciate, and I'm sure is a difficult fucking thing to sit there and think about. Like, fuck, I got Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness sitting, beside me. How do I make myself stand out here amongst these two great commentators? So, I don't know what he was feeling, but as the time went on, I honestly feel like he did not seem out of place. He didn't really feel out of place. He didn't really add anything, like I said, but he also didn't feel out of place. Mauro said this on the situation with Percy. "My man, Percy Watson, is class personified. His commitment to growing as an announcer was commendable. He will excel in any future endeavors. Thanks for being a great broadcast partner," end quote. Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp reported that Watson has told many people that he doesn't plan on working for WWE any longer. However, no release from the company has been confirmed. It is said that his departure has been in the works for a while, and Watson had hopes to pursue outside projects, but was unable to do any of the things he wanted to do with his WWE schedule. Therefore, Percy Watson might be another example of someone in WWE who wants to leave, but the company won't let him go so easily. Anything else regarding this situation, I will let you know. Certainly interesting now that AEW is on TV with TNT. Percy Watson, he is someone who has been seasoned with the best in this business, with Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness. Now, I know they have their commentary team squared away, but who's to say that Percy Watson doesn't end up over there? I don't know. Maybe that's WWE's line of thinking here. I would not be too concerned about that. I don't think people are going to run to their TVs every week to listen to Percy Watson call matches with Jim Ross. But WWE is now with the announcement of TNT and AEW, you know that now more so than ever, they are not letting anyone go from the company. So we'll see what happens with this. Apparently, Percy is gone from the man himself, Morrow. Confirmed it pretty much, all but confirmed. And we got Beth Phoenix to take his place on commentary, which she did a great job tonight to fill in for Percy. That's all I got as far as news goes. We're going to talk about the show tonight and the War Raiders possibly relinquishing the NXT Tag Team titles, as well as Kushina being placed in a storyline right out of the gate for WWE in NXT. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Make sure you guys go and get your JD's Elite, man. Bonfire.com is the home. Link is down below. One of the best-selling t-shirts in all of the YWC. That is the YouTube wrestling community. And the #1 selling t-shirt right here on Off the Script. Link is down below. The official online shop of JD's Elite is bonfire.com. Salrex and I have been spitting some ideas back and forth for new t-shirts. So keep an eye out for that. I should have something announced in the coming weeks. So make sure you guys go and get this one. Still available. Bonfire.com. Link is down below in the description of this very video. NXT TV tonight started off with the War Raiders. Oh, JD, you mean the Viking experience? No, asshole! Oh, you mean the Viking Raiders? Ivar and Erik? Hey, listen, asshole. It's Hansen and Rowe of the War Raiders. Okay? Anyway, they started the show off. They came to the ring. And this is something that I was very excited about because the status of the NXT Tag Team titles has been something that I've been questioning, being that they got called up to the main roster. And usually, NXT does a fantastic job with their tag team division and at their Takeover shows. It's usually one of the best matches of the entire show at Takeover. And you could go back to Phoenix and you could go back to NXT Takeover New York and see why not only the War Raiders are fucking great at what they do, but the tag team title matches on both of those shows were Match of the Year candidates. Don't know why we can't get that on the main roster, but, you know, Vince McMahon is a fucking asshole. But as far as the tag team title situations, they have a lot of great teams. Street Profits, Forgotten Sons really stood out in the Dusty Classic. I love the European Union of Eichner and Bartel. I think Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch are an exciting team, and hopefully more to come. But with the War Raiders and them being placed on Raw and SmackDown, which we didn't see them this week, I was wondering what they were going to do with those NXT Tag Team titles. We haven't seen the NXT Tag Team titles even mentioned on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, which is fucking insane in itself. That's not something I would do. I would have had them riding out there with the fucking titles every single time that they were on TV. But WWE NXT, what's that? I don't know what that is. What is that? They have titles? Ridiculous. It's like the titles mean nothing to these fucking goons on Vince McMahon's roster. By the way, why are the War Raiders perceived so different in NXT with the entrance? You know, lighting and the camera work goes a really long way to present these guys in a great light. You know, graphic goes a long way. We don't see anything. Whatever you've seen with the War Raiders entrance in NXT, as very simple as it is, they don't do any of that on the main roster. They just come out and it's just like, oh, look at these two big guys dressed as Vikings. Who gives a shit? I love their entrance. If they had an entrance with the lighting and the fucking graphic, maybe people would take them to be a little bit more of a threat. Instead of these two big fucking buffoons coming out on Monday Night Raw, and that's it. But the NXT Tag Team Championships were discussed tonight, and they were in the ring, and they've been raiding Raw, and they have not even come close to finishing their job yet. Now, since they still have the NXT Tag Team titles that are much more prestigious than the Monday Night Raw titles, they asked NXT General Manager William Regal to come out to the ring. Regal comes out, and Erik, I'm telling you right now, I genuinely can't stand calling them this, but I can't tell who's Erik and who's Ivar. I really can't. I'm being completely honest with you. I don't know who the fuck is Erik and who the fuck is Ivar. I don't know. I know them as Hansen and Rowe. So, Morrow as well. I would love to ask him, if I am down there again, I'm going to ask him, how difficult was it for you to call these guys the Viking Raiders, and how difficult was it for you to not call them Hansen and Rowe? You can just sense that they don't want to say what Vince McMahon has ultimately changed. So, Erik says that since they know, I believe Erik is Rowe. I'm assuming. He says that they know nobody will beat them for these titles, and they are going to relinquish these titles, which is something I don't agree with. I was hoping that is not the case. We'll talk about that in a second. So they hand over the titles before Regal can say anything. The Street Profits come on out, and we know what happened with the Street Profits. They had that great match with the War Raiders the first time, in which I thought the Street Profits won within 90 seconds, and they ended up losing. So the Street Profits come on out, and Montez Ford, who was absolutely money, is on the microphone and says, whoa, no one? So he reminds both Hansen and Rowe that they brought the fight to them a few weeks ago. Although they didn't win, they know deep down they can beat the Viking Raiders. Dawkins says, simply, if that's your real name, which was the LOL moment of the night. And a nice little way for Triple H to script his boys to say, fuck this name, we want the War Raiders back. So, that actually angered both Hansen and Rowe, and they yell at Regal to make the match. William Regal says, later tonight in the main event, the NXT Tag Team Titles, the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits. And your main event is set, man. The Street Profits are so fucking great. Now, they might not be your cup of coffee, but to me, I think they're fantastic. Montez Ford is money. Angelo Dawkins clearly is the Marty Jannetty of this team. And I don't really want to lump him into that category because he compliments Montez Ford so great. And they have a special connection with the audience, which is something that I think would be great on the main roster. I just don't think Vince would get them the way the NXT crowd gets them, or Triple H and his team gets them. These guys would be the second coming of the fucking Ascension, or Breezango on the main roster, which would be a shame because they're fucking great at what they do. They're exciting, they're young, they have the crowd invested in what they're doing, and they have a simple yet satisfying story right now where they've been chasing these tag team championships, and I would love to see them with a fucking run in the company with these tag team titles. I don't like when NXT does something like this, when you know someone should be a champion or a tag team champion, they don't do it, and then they get called up, and then Vince McMahon ends up breaking them up, ultimately ruining everything special about said team or said performer. I hope that doesn't happen here. So the match was set for the main event. Matt Riddle defeated Adam Cole last week in a fantastic TV match. Roderick Strong came down to attempt to help Adam Cole, but he ended up losing the match because of Roderick Strong, or at least he blamed Roderick Strong for the loss. There was a huge argument between the two. Outside after the match, they showed footage that did not air last week, and Adam Cole was cursing up a storm, which I love, man. It brings a sense of realism to it. I'm sick of this shit. Cole yells at Roderick Strong and calls him a bitch. Shit's being bleeped out on NXT TV. Is that so difficult to do? Shit like that, and I see that, I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. You don't really see that every day on fucking WWE, you know? Push the envelope a little bit. And with this storyline, I hope it's not going where I fear it's going, but I trust Triple H and what he's doing here. Strong walks away, takes off his shirt, takes off his armband, gone. So with that clip where Adam Cole is shown cursing at Roderick Strong, he ultimately walked out and quit the Undisputed Era. So Kathy Kelly then focuses on the now. She's there in the parking lot with Adam Cole and the rest of Undisputed Era. She's talking to Adam Cole, who is actually the leader of the group, and he makes this well known. I'm the leader of Undisputed Era. Saying, obviously, it's not Strong who isn't with the group at the moment, kind of throwing a jab at Roderick Strong. Suddenly, we see this commotion going on. The suits and ties are running in the background, making a big scene. Something happened in the parking lot, apparently. We got one guy trying to get help, and then he disappears into the distance. We see two people walk behind Keithley Kelly in the Undisputed Era, heading towards the scene of what happened. And then all of a sudden, we see Roderick Strong come walking into the camera frame, and he stands in front of Adam Cole. He walks up and says, you know, I really thought about what you said last week and how we are much stronger together. He then says, your Matt Riddle problem is no more. And he hands Adam Cole one of Matt Riddle's flip-flops. And on the flip-flop, there's drops of blood dripping down the flip-flop. And they embraced. Adam Cole gave Roderick Strong his armband back. And I'm assuming we're going to get Roderick Strong versus Matt Riddle at TakeOver on June 1st. Simple. Simple. I loved it. I thought this was fucking super cool, man. And I wish we would see more of this in what Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live is presenting. It's just so simple. Sort of everything just feeling so unorganic and unnatural and scripted. This was great. This was great. And really told the story of their tension. He went home, he thought about it, he came back and apologized, and he went out and went above and beyond to make Adam Cole happy. Hey, listen, I'm sorry for what I did. I took care of this situation for you. There you go. Now you can concentrate on Johnny Gargano. Simple. Very simple. Keithley versus Cesar Benoni. Keithley is money. I'm loving Keithley, man. I'm happy to see him back on NXT TV. He was out for a little bit with an undisclosed injury. And they did mention that his rival, Dominic Dodge Kovac, is out. And when he comes back, he will be thrown right back into the thick of things with Keithley. Now, I'm thinking, when Dodge Kovac comes back, I don't know how long a meniscus tear is going to take to recuperate from. But what if Keithley? What if Keithley beats the Velveteen Dream at some point this year for the NXT North American Championship, and Velveteen Dream gets called up to the main roster, which I am dreading. I'm absolutely dreading. And Keithley is the North American Champion, and Dijakovic comes back, and he wants the North American Championship, but instead of thinking about the Velveteen Dream, he's got Keithley standing in front of him. I think that would be great. And that North American Championship is specifically made for guys like Dijakovic and Keithley, Velveteen Dream, right? So it's going to be great. Either way, the North American Championship situation is going to be a very fun one in the months to come. Keithley, I wasn't too high on his theme song. It really rapidly grew on me. I love his bask in his glory catchphrase. He looks so pompous and fucking confident in himself, man, and it really comes through on TV. This was pretty much a squash match. The Spirit Bomb, which is unbelievably devastating, man. He fucking nailed Cesar Benoni with this one. 1, 2, 3, and that was it. Keithley wins via pinfall. Last week, Shayna Baszler, Jessie Duke, and Marina Shafir were shown training at the PC, and Io Shirai ended up attacking Baszler from behind for what she did to Kairi Sane the week before that. So, Keithley Kelly announced that Shayna Baszler will defend the title against Io Shirai at TakeOver 25. And as she announced that, the Forgotten Sons are rushing into William Regal's office, and they aren't happy about the Street Profits being handed a title match by William Regal. They're citing that William Regal once again forgot about us. And after tonight, you're just going to have to watch. Nobody's going to forget about the Forgotten Sons. So they were not all too happy about that whatsoever. Kushina versus the lamest, Konnan Reeves. Reeves comes out and he has a slightly different look. He was wearing those trunks, those miserable looking trunks. His body type, and I'm being completely honest with you, man. I said the same thing with Mia Yim, with the pants that she was wearing. They kept falling down, right? She changed that wardrobe, and she looks pretty decent now. She looks a lot better than what she did when I first seen her in the Mae Young Classic. That entire fucking tournament, she was pulling up her pants. Not something I want to see. Change the outfit, and the new look suits her. Same thing here with Konnan Reeves. He was wearing regular traditional wrestling trunks, and he looked fucking terrible in them. The slight change, he's now wearing black leather pants, and he looks fucking good. He looks good. Apparently, they're kind of making these subtle changes to Konnan Reeves, even though he's still the resident jobber of NXT. He's right in that same category as Cassius Ohno. Cassius Ohno obviously holds a little bit more priority in that category than Konnan Reeves. He's used mainly as an enhancement talent to get everybody else over. Konnan Reeves is just typically a jobber from what we see right now. But the little subtle changes that they're doing to alter Konnan Reeves with his entrance and his wardrobe, I don't know if it's WWE giving him some TV time so that he can work on what he needs to work on, or if it's just a complete waste of time and he's not going anywhere. But I feel like the subtle changes are being done because there's someone in NXT or a group of people in NXT that are working with Konnan Reeves that find some sort of upside to him. And listen, I hope that they are right. I don't want to see anyone fail. And I think Konnan Reeves has a great look. He's got a great, I don't want to say in-ring style, because, I mean, it's still very green, but man, he's got a great presence. He's tall, he's got a great look, and they're clearly working on these little subtleties for a reason. You're not going to send a jobber out there and alter his wardrobe and change his theme music and take this away and add this and change his wardrobe if they're not going anywhere with him. So we'll see what happens. This one was pretty academic. Kushina actually was on the defensive for some of this. So it wasn't all Kushina. Konnan Reeves actually got some offense in this thing. Kushina hit a springboard chop, multiple kicks, handspring, back elbow, hip toss, basement drop kick. He wins eventually with the hoverboard, and Reeves tapped out. There was also a great spot where Kushina did a somersault senton to the outside, off the top rope onto Konnan Reeves. The biggest thing that happened in this match was that Drew Gulak of 205 Live came out and watched the entire match from the stage. I don't know what's going on with that, but clearly two things are happening here. Kushina is in a storyline. Very small. It's a storyline nonetheless. And two, Drew Gulak is going to get in the ring and get Kushina ready for that next bigger opponent. Which you can tell that WWE clearly, or someone in NXT clearly trusts Drew Gulak enough to do what he needs to do with Kushina. So I think it's great. Konnan Reeves loses via submission here with the hoverboard. I guess it's a Kimura lock, a modified Kimura lock. So Kushina wins here via submission. Backstage, Bianca Belair. And I love how catty, I love how petty Bianca Belair is, man. She brings Kathy Kelly over to William Regal's office. And she wants Kathy Kelly to go in there with her and ask William Regal about Bianca's next title match, as if it's going to facilitate things here for Bianca Belair. As they get closer to the office, Mia Yim comes walking out of the office, and Bianca is like, well, you beat me to the punch. Belair can't believe she's asking for a title shot against Shayna because Yim already lost to Bianca last week. Yim says, listen, I'm not asking for a shot at Shayna. I'm asking for another match against you because you didn't take care of me. You just took a shortcut. And Mia Yim walks away as Bianca Belair calls Kathy Kelly to follow her into William Regal's office, and she proceeds to slam the door in Kathy Kelly's face. So there you go. Vanessa Bourne versus Jessie. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, Jessie, she was actually in the Mae Young Classic. She didn't really fare too well. She lost in her opening round match, but she looked a lot better tonight than she did in the Mae Young Classic last year. Vanessa Bourne, no progress made. I don't really see much of anything in Vanessa Bourne or Aleya. All I see is the Iconics all over again in NXT, and that's not something we really are interested in whatsoever. It's not really something I want to see. Not something that NXT needs either. Imagine that. NXT has their own version of the Iconics with slightly better mic skills, and I don't mean that in a positive light. I'm not giving them credit for anything. I'm just saying that Billie Kay and Peyton Royce are fucking god-awful at everything that they do. And this is just a recreation of the Iconics all over again in a less annoying manner. Now, Jessie looked pretty decent. She lost here, obviously. Vanessa Bourne gets the victory. They're pushing Vanessa Bourne and Aleya for whatever reason. Modified neckbreaker. But the most interesting and laughable aspects of the match, outside of Vanessa Bourne's in-ring ability, was Nigel and Mauro. Now, Nigel has a huge crush. He loves Vanessa Bourne. And Mauro proceeds to say that, well, if Vanessa Bourne was on an app and I was looking at Vanessa Bourne, I'd swipe left. Now, I love Mauro more than anybody. I think he's fucking great. I look to him as his inspiration for what I do as commentary for House of Glory. But, man, swiping left on Vanessa Bourne, I don't know about that one, man. I don't know about that one. That's a swipe right, if you ask me. That's a swipe right. And Vanessa Bourne, the best things about her are the hair and the theme music. I love the theme music. The theme music reminds me of something that I would hear at Coyote Ugly. I've been to Coyote Ugly many a times. I may actually go back when I go to Vegas. There's a Coyote Ugly right there, man. When drinking at Coyote Ugly and you hear that grungy rock come on, and the girls get up on the bar and start dancing and they start jamming cheap bottles of tequila down your throat. That's what I envision when I look at Vanessa Bourne. She's nothing more than a girly dancer who is pretending to be a pro wrestler. I'm not really all that interested in it. I don't know where the fuck they're going. And you know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you. You know, with these two, I don't know where their direction is going because they are nowhere near being on a takeover show. Nowhere. Even now, all the months and the years that Vanessa Bourne has been with the WWE, nothing has really showcased itself as being progress. Same thing with Aleya. Could you honestly say, when you look at these two, could you put them on a takeover show? Are they going to be able to live up to the takeover standard that Triple H has created? The answer is no. So, if they're not ready for that, I don't give a single shit about Vanessa Bourne and Aleya. And I'm being completely honest with you. They're attractive women, and that's all they have going for them. Simple. Jessie loses. I'd like to see more of Jessie. I don't know what her character is. I mean, she's fun-loving and she's eccentric. She got rid of the glasses, I see. But she looks like a taller version of Bayley. Or a taller version of Dakota Kai. No identity there. Got to work on that. Vanessa Bourne wins via a modified neckbreaker. The Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. The NXT Tag Team Championship match. That didn't go anywhere and ended in a no contest. This was great for what it was. I was hoping we'd see something here. But Dawkins had dueling cartwheels with Ivar. Or Hansen. However you want to fucking describe them. I don't know. I'm done. I'm done fucking calling them whatever, man. Hansen. He had dueling cartwheels with Hansen. And Dawkins ends up, out of that exchange, giving Hansen a spinebuster. And off the spinebuster, Montez Ford hits a big splash and almost won the fucking titles. Before that, even better before that, that was the second near fall in the match, before the match ended in a no contest. They were going for the Thor's Hammer, or the Viking Experience, according to Vince McMahon, because Thor's Hammer sounded too cool, we got to get rid of it. They were going up for Thor's Hammer on Montez Ford. Angelo Dawkins comes in and spears Rowe. Hansen then is rolled up by Montez Ford in a small package and nearly won the fucking titles, just escaping Thor's Hammer. Unbelievable shit. So, after the big splash, only a 2 count, Hansen kicked out, and the Forgotten Sons came out and interfered and caused the no contest. The match was thrown out. After the bell rang, Forgotten Sons are out there. Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan run out to get involved. The War Raiders are clearing the ring of everybody. You had Hansen do a cannonball senton to the apron on the floor, taking out everybody. Ford goes up to the top rope to do a splash to the outside, jumping on the carnage that is on the outside. And Rowe stops that. Dawkins acts like the referee, and they actually hit a blockbuster They hit a blockbuster. So Dawkins had Rowe on his shoulders. Ford jumps off the top rope, does a top rope blockbuster. Angelo Dawkins, like I said, playing the referee, counting the 1, 2, 3. Whether it counted or not, no contest. No contest. Morrow says this is a Viking experience they aren't going to enjoy. And boom. At the end of all this, the Viking Raiders stand tall with Thor's hammer on Wesley Blake. Champs, stand tall. Show goes off the air with them holding the titles up. They lay the titles on the mat. And they bow. They bow, giving their send-off to NXT. And that's the way the show goes off the air. Now, I don't know what happened here. I hope that it's the case of them having a no contest with the Street Profits, but we see them at TakeOver, mixed in with all these other teams. Forgotten Sons, the 1-2 combination of Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, Street Profits, and the War Raiders. Fatal 4-way for the NXT Tag Team titles. I want this to be the case because I am not a fan of someone leaving a promotion or a territory and not doing the honors, especially if it's a champion. It's much more of an impact when you have a champion who's being called up, in this case NXT, and your champions were called up, no matter how rushed it was or how much it doesn't make sense. They got called up to Monday Night Raw as the NXT Tag Team Champions. They should be doing the honors and putting over a team. They have assembled this aura in NXT where they're unbeatable. The crowd knows it. The fans at home watching know it. The people who are going to be watching TakeOver know it. Everybody in NXT knows it. They know it. More importantly, they know it. So I don't know why you wouldn't do the honor or have them do the honor and put a team over like a Forgotten Sons or in what I hope is the Street Profits. Can you imagine Montez Ford hitting that big frog splash at a TakeOver, winning the fucking titles, pinning a Hansen or a Rowe? That's impactful. I hope WWE goes with that situation. That's what needs to be done. Now, the only reason why I don't think they would do that is because they want to keep the War Raiders undefeated. It's not out of the realm of possibility that WWE simply didn't want to beat these guys. But that would also be a conflict of the reports that are out. Oh, Vince and WWE main roster don't watch NXT. Or maybe it's an initiative from Triple H, being that he works with these guys at Full Sail, and he has some input on what happens with his guys on the main roster. Maybe he went to Vince and said, listen, we can't lose these guys. We can't have these guys lose. I didn't have them lose the titles in traditional manner, and I don't want to have them lose here to go to the main roster to lose. So you have to keep them undefeated. Same thing happened with Asuka. Asuka gave up the Women's Championship. She wasn't pinned. And WWE had a bigger plan for Asuka. Do they have a bigger plan for the War Raiders? I don't know. But if I was booking this thing, it's not like WWE fucking watches NXT anyway. It's like the casuals who watch the fucking main roster don't give a shit about the War Raiders or where they came from or who they are even. Or what they did at the past takeovers. I would have them lose. I would have them go and do the job to the Street Profits. I think it's more impactful, and it means so much more to a team like that. When that situation happens, instead of just taking the titles off them, relinquishing the titles, and putting the titles on the line in a triple threat match with all those other teams. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that they're at TakeOver and they do the job. But from what I seen tonight, it looked like they just left the titles in the ring and boom, goodbye. Thank you for your time. Now we're on to have our careers ruined by Vince McMahon. He's already done it by changing our fucking name and the name of us individually. I don't know, man. Looked like they walked away. Looked like they relinquished the titles, but I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we get a fatal 4-way at TakeOver instead of a triple threat match for vacated NXT Tag Team Championships. We'll see what happens. I'm just not a big fan of walking away from a promotion without doing the deed unless there is a major plan in store for you wherever you're going next. Hopefully WWE does the right thing, but that's saying a lot nowadays. Thank you guys so very much for all your support, man. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that thumbs up. I will be back tomorrow with an off-the-script extra. Ton of news on AEW. Ton of news. And Cody, the Bucks, Kenny, they were all interviewed after the big announcement today for the TNT TV deal. And they're giving you a glimpse of what to expect on AEW television this fall. And it sounds beautiful, man. We'll go over all of that tomorrow on Off the Script Extra. So make sure you guys tune into the channel for that and follow me on social media so you are aware of when that podcast is going up tomorrow. Make sure you guys follow me on social media. Speaking of Twitter and Instagram, JD from NY206. Both on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Optional. Show your appreciation if you want. It's a great way to get exclusive content not available on YouTube. Remember, audibletrial.com/offthescript. We have a new sponsor hitting the podcast on Friday, man. Ridge Wallet. Unbelievable stuff, man. You're going to love this. And I got mine in the mail. I'm dropping my shit here. I got mine in the mail this week. It's fucking awesome, man. We'll go over that. I'll do a nice little unboxing and show it off for you guys. So, Ridge Wallet, the newest sponsor right here on Off the Script. Make sure you guys check out Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. JD's Elites, link is down below. Best-selling t-shirt in the YWC and the #1 selling t-shirt right here on Off the Script. And make sure you guys go check out all my videos off the script from this past weekend, talking about AEW, talking about the brand split and the wild card rule and how it's not working, and Becky Lynch and her momentum is declining week by week going into Money in the Bank. Bray Wyatt's secret finally revealed, and welcome to Tuesday Night Promo Package Live. God-awful edition of SmackDown Live. Everything you need is linked in the top right corner of the screen. Drop it down. The annotation is right there for you guys to take advantage of. Go and watch all the other content you might have missed. I'm getting out of here, guys. Again, hit that thumbs up, and I will see you right back here for more on the channel tomorrow, and then we'll be back with episode 274 of Off the Script this weekend. Lots to go over, including Vince McMahon and the terrible behavior that is WWE and the CEO of WWE, and how someone called into the Wade Keller podcast and threw everything Vince McMahon has not done and changed under the bus. Should be a shit show. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you guys later.